In 1973, a researcher named Dr. Picard took human liver cells that were essentially dying, and for whatever reason, he bathed them in the blood plasma of a healthy 20-year-old. Now, I know that sounds like the opening plot of a horror movie, but in this particular instance, he was purely scientific. And you know what happened? Those cells started acting young again, repairing themselves, functioning in a way they hadn't for decades. And you know what else? He found out that your body actually makes it, which sounds great until you understand that at age 20, your blood plasma contains roughly 200 nanograms per milliliter of this compound. But by the time you hit 60, that number's dropped to around 80, and that's a 60% decline. And with something this significant, you don't want a 60% decline. The substance is called GHK-Cu, and in this video, we're covering the genetic impact it has on the body, the clinical benefits it offers, and that goes from hair loss to cognitive preservation, as well as the different ways you can get it into your body. And you wouldn't think it matters, how it gets into your body, but it does. I'll explain more about that shortly. Let's start off with what GHK-Cu is. It's comprised of 3 simple amino acids, all bound to a copper ion. It's not a synthetic drug, not something a pharmaceutical company patented. It's a molecule produced naturally in your body, something your system's already familiar with. Now, a lot's happened since 1973, and probably the biggest thing is that scientists have mapped out the entire human genome, and they found out that GHK-Cu modulates over 4,000 genes, which is roughly 31% of your entire genome. And that means nothing to most people. So let's pretend your genome is a control room, and it has 4,000 switches. Half of them have been slowly drifting into the wrong position for decades. And that's just a result of the normal aging process. It's gradual. There aren't any alarms, no signals. You don't even realize it's happening. But still, if you're over 40, your control room's an absolute dumpster fire. So GHK-Cu walks in and starts flipping those switches back to where they should be. So let me give you a few examples. It resets the master switch for chronic inflammation. It disrupts the primary driver of scar tissue that naturally accumulates in our organs as we age. And it reactivates 47 different DNA repair genes that are currently freeloading and doing absolutely nothing. And those 5 genes that speed up our aging process, every one of those is throttled way back. Most people don't know that organs like the heart, lungs, and liver naturally accumulate scar tissue, also known as fibrosis, over time. And it's because certain cells show up and stay way past their useful lifespan. They just keep making scar tissue for some reason. So GHK-Cu basically tells those cells to pack their bags, and it escorts them out the door. The evidence? In studies involving mice with severe chemically induced lung scarring, GHK-Cu actually reversed the formation of scar tissue. It stopped the inflammatory cycle and lowered collagen buildup within the lung tissue itself. And while yes, this wasn't an animal study, this is where most medical breakthroughs begin. And the results are both well documented and biologically sound. Now, when it comes to human clinical data, the results aren't just marketing talk. Wrinkle volume has seen a measured reduction of 31.6%. Post-procedural recovery is sped up by anywhere from 30 to 50%. It even holds its own against 5% minoxidil for treating male pattern baldness, and it's shown matching results in hair density and follicle size without the typical side effects. It even improves cognitive performance. But as I said previously, the delivery method matters. For instance, intranasal delivery showed measurable improvements in both learning and memory retention in aged animals. But that doesn't happen if you take GHK-Cu in the form of cream, and giving it to yourself in the form of an injection won't grow your hair back. You need the right delivery mechanism for the desired result. But now it's time to discuss the fine print. If you have Wilson's disease or any copper metabolic disorder, this molecule is not for you, because GHK-Cu can cause toxic copper accumulation. And if you have active cancer cells, GHK-Cu stimulates new blood vessel growth, which is exactly what makes it so effective at healing. But it can be extremely problematic if there are things inside your body you'd rather not have grow bigger and stronger. So if you have cancer, GHK-Cu, it's a hard no. Now, it's also important to note that it's never been FDA approved for systemic human use, and it may never be, because you can't patent it. So large pharmaceutical companies, they can't profit from it. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means it's not a cash cow. So it's never going to be on Big Pharma's radar. So in conclusion, if you're interested in this molecule, which I can't imagine you wouldn't be, I take it, call a reputable HRT clinic like mine, Viking, because getting old is inevitable. But losing 60% of your body's master repair molecule and doing nothing about it? That's a choice.